You really want me to cry, don't you? 042. A superstar halfback, who proved the difference. The enforcer, who is shining all over the park, and the spines ready to hunt the 2021 premiers. Meanwhile, two sides have proven lackluster in attack and weak in defense. Here are my likes and dislikes from round 5. Stream every game of every round of the 2022 NRL Telstra Premiership season live and ad break free during play on Kayo. New to Kayo? Try 14 days free now. Likes 1. 2 spines hot on the Premier's tails. Super Sunday in round 4 came, and the spines of 2 of the genuine contenders this year really showed their class. Down in Melbourne, the return of Harry Grant proving how pivotal he is around the ruck along with Hughes and Munster. One thing that shone in particular was the combination that Grant is developing with Papenhuisen through the middle of the field. They took the Dogs to task with every opportunity. Barrett's men had a stack of possession, but that Melbourne wall of defence refused to show any cracks and remained rock solid. The minute they touched the footy, the Melbourne spine was just on a complete other level compared to the Bulldogs. 2 hours later we were treated to Moses, Dylan Brown, Gutherson and Reid Mahoney's performance. Through the back end of the second half, they just ignited CommBank Stadium. Moses is showing great maturity, but still has this X-factor of brilliance, which was on full display when he kicked and chased for himself. In a modern rugby league world where there's so much structure, it was refreshing to see Moses show us that little bit of the 80s and 90s old school halfback in him. The player that has the confidence to play what he sees at times, recognizing that Moses Mbai was caught in the play the ball. More NRL news. Teams Road 5, Broncos new halves combo, Manly Phil Turbo void, Dogs spine shakeup. Transfer whispers, Tigers respond to Brooks swap reports, Flanagan package deal as Dolphins circle Bronco. Really want me to see RY Cordner opens up to Matty in emotional face-to-face. Integrity unit now investigating Broncos 408. Moses showed no hesitation to put a kick in behind the Dragons' defense, in shades of what he did as a 12 or 13-year-old at the local parks of Leichhardt. It was unreal. The connection around the ruck, the way that Mahoney just continued to roll his forward pack down the field and attack down the short sides. His left side short side attack with Dylan Brown has been sensational to start the season. Meanwhile, Gutherson and Mahoney's work rate and anticipation were on full display in one particular moment captured by the bird's eye view on Fox League's cameras. The pair had already predicted what was about to happen when young Will Penasina broke the line, both pushing through in support in the middle of the park for Gutherson to ultimately score. That moment really showed where Parramatta are sitting at the moment. What Melbourne's four guns and what Parramatta's spine did on Sunday gave rugby league lovers entertainment, but at the same time reinforced that it's not a one-horse premiership race. Even with Penrith's cracking spine we saw on the weekend, there is going to be a few others on their hammer come to back end of the season. Listen, Gagai mi seat up against Sharks 146. 2. Siosifa Talakai. Siosifa Talakai play him anywhere, and he just seems to be unstoppable at the moment. In the modern game of rugby league where hires have become so prevalent and sin bins can cause such disruption, to have the luxury of a bloke who's built the way he is, has the speed and the ability to break tackles was just sensational. Talakai is able to do that in various positions, whether it be back row, centre, lock. You could play him in the middle if you have to. Dare I say it, he could probably handle the wing the way he's going in the centres. It was just unreal to watch him take on Dane Gagai, who in this very column a few weeks ago I spoke about how important and how good Gagai's been for the Knights, and how he was one of the form players in the competition. I'm not sure whether it was a personal challenge that he set for himself, but he was almost possessed. He was just a man on a mission in round 4 up against one of the strongest defensive centres in the competition. Gagai just couldn't handle him, and his form for Cronulla has been sensational. Read more. Wayne's World, the Stars Bennett must target in hunt for marquee Dolphin. Reserves wrap. Absolute Beast Eyes debut. Bronco in frame to partner Reynolds. Revealed. Why imbecilic Knights have themselves to blame for Ponga distraction. Mahoney becoming a premier hooker. 2:15. 3. Daily Cherry Evans. Cherry Evans' kicking game in Mudgee was nothing short of excellent. The 20/40ths, 40/20ths, the short kick for Olakau'atu to score. Cherry Evans put on an absolute, and it made you just feel for Ricky Stewart's Raiders, who are without Hodgson, and without halfback Jamal Fogarty, who they brought to the club to be that organising general. The masterclass from Cherry Evans proved the difference between the two sides, clearly the number 7, and he took the game by the scruff of the neck, which brought Tommy into the game. Cherry Evans proved the difference between the two sides. Get all the latest NRL news, highlights and analysis delivered straight with Fox Sports Sport Mail. Now, dislikes. 1. Bulldogs in attack. The Dogs' attack at AAMI Park was completely pedestrian and clearly didn't trouble the Storm given the score line. The amount of possession they had in the first half, at this level of competition, you would think they would come away with some points. It leaves me with real concern about where the Dogs' attack is at. They spent months investing in Averillo as a half, when his greatest strength is his ball running, and he looked uncomfortable having to organise and control their kicking game and end defence in his handful of 2022 performances. I feel sorry for Averillo as a halfback. He was given only a fortnight at halfback to prove his worth in the top flight, and has now been shifted into the centres, a position he didn't train in all summer. The Bulldogs then went back Wakeham, who they have tried and tested before, then after a flogging at AAMI Park they realise he isn't the man for the job. Kyle Flanagan has now been brought in, and is the only genuine 7 at the club. In his first 2 matches, he comes up against 2 of the competition's premier teams, and the 2021 grand finalists. It leaves me completely confused with what they have done all summer. They are on to their third halves, pairing only 4 rounds into the competition, so let's hope young Flanagan can have a blinder and turn this once proud club around. 2. Griffin swinging the axe. I feel like the dropping of Sloane and Amone was a really big call from Griffin. Tyrell Sloane has brought a real X-factor to the Dragons side, and his combination with Amone is unique. They played so much junior footy together, and their connection is something that's not manufactured, it's real and has been forged for years in the lower grades. I understand Griffin may have wanted experience up against Parramatta. At the end of the day the conditions were really ordinary against Cronulla at WIN Stadium. I know that Sloane didn't have his greatest night, but particularly with some of these young blokes you've got to cop a couple of knocks from time to time. They are not always going to be up every single week, and I felt like his axing was just too early. You have got to stick by them in these tough times, and I was really surprised after one poor outing against the Sharks they decided to leave them out. These are the young exciting blokes that actually provided the spark for them. I hope it hasn't dented their confidence, because they've got great futures ahead of them. We all saw at the back end of last year the youth coming through the club is the one thing that has given the Red V fans hope. I felt like they needed to persist with them, because the upside in those 2 young guns for the Dragons is enormous, and I feel like they are a much stronger attacking side with Sloane and fullback, and Amone at 6. Bird's been really good out on an edge, and Mbai is their perfect 14 to come off the bench, so I felt like it was a strange one, which clearly backfired. Hope he is it. Flanagan back again 4:55. 3. Broncos round 3 and 4 performances. The Broncos were awful. In a game where they came off being completely out-enthused by their arch-rivals the Cowboys at home, I expected a big response against the Warriors. But they were so flat in attack it wasn't funny. There was a moment of brilliance from Adam Reynolds that got them on the score sheet, but other than that they still came up with nothing. I think we'd all agree that defensively the Warriors have their challenges, but it wasn't as if Kevin Walters' men were playing against Penrith, or the Melbourne Storm, or those top teams, and were just shut out through good defence. It leaves me feeling a bit here we go again.